and kill the same enemies over and over again, trying to collect the hearts. Now that we already have bought the first oak stake that I needed, we can just head now to the end of the dungeon, which this is the first mansion, so obviously it's the easiest and the shortest and the easiest one to navigate. The other ones have a little bit more of a tricky path to it. Select the oak stake, throw it at the item, and now we have the bone of Dracula. As you can see, I selected it, and now you can see I actually have a shield. It doesn't look like the bone, but it is a shield made of bones. Now, to get back to the entrance easily, I just dropped down through one of the pitfalls that I normally would jump over, but by going down here, it allows me to get easily back to the entrance of the mansion. But now that we do have the bone, the Dracula's bone, we actually will be going now to get Dracula's Heart. Which, even though it doesn't do too much in usefulness, it seems like it's of course one of the most important items to collect for Dracula. Obviously his heart is definitely one of the top items to get. Plus, if, you know, when you know horror and all that, Dracula or vampires are killed with a stake through the heart. So I guess, you know, having the heart of Dracula would be one of the more important items. But even though we don't ever stab Dracula in the heart with a stake in the Castlevania series, and we have to burn his body alive in this game, doesn't matter, still the heart I see as a very useful object. And to get there, we continue heading right past the first, right of the first mansion, and go inside this little cave area, which we actually will be getting a very important item in this cave. Once I jump up here, if I can jump up there, there we go. In that little wall down there, you can see kind of sticking out there on the bottom left, we actually will be getting probably the best item in terms of like throwable weapon, probably in the entire game. You end up getting the flame, the sacred flame, and it's basically just like the holy water that you throw at things, but when it hits the ground, fire shoots up out of it, and can basically, like the holy water would do in the first Castlevania game, it basically paralyzes enemies. They can't, once they're being hit by it, they seemingly cannot get out of it. And just like the first Castlevania game, I can use it, spam it a lot, and end up killing all the bosses of the game. Now you may be wondering, where was the first boss? Where, I beat a mansion, I got the item and all, but there was no boss. Like, isn't there supposed to be bosses in Castlevania? And yes, there is supposed to be bosses, but in this game there's only a handful of bosses. Besides Dracula himself, there's actually only 2 other bosses to deal with in the entire game. And you don't have to kill either one of them. Now each boss does drop an extra weapon that is kind of useful, one of which, the one the Grim Reaper boss will drop, will actually help us defeat the second boss that we'll face a little bit later on. But we won't have to deal with either one of those bosses for actually a little while actually. We don't have one to the third dungeon, the third mansion in the game, and we still have to go to the second one and then travel all the way back to the first town where we first started off the game. But to go back there, go past there to get to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th dungeons of the game. The first 2 are to the right of the first town, the other 3 are to the left of the town. Now the next dungeon we're going to is the one that contains Dracula's Heart, is actually the castle, or mansion, sorry, of Rover. Yes, the Rover Mansion is the second mansion of which we will be going to. Now, unfortunately, I need to get an item in this town that's only available during the day. I have to talk to one of the citizens that walks around outside, so I have to waste a few minutes here, walking back and forth, fighting the same enemies, just kind of waiting the day out, waiting the rest of the night out, waiting for daylight to come. Of course, also, I'm training a little bit, as well as picking up more money, which it'll help me out in the end, so I won't have to, train anymore or gather money anymore later on in the game. Now, hopefully, because of the day-night system, hopefully this is the last time we're kind of just standing around waiting for the moment, or waiting for daylight to come, so I actually can pick up the items so we actually can continue. So hopefully this is the last you'll see of me walking back and forth, left and right, in the same spot over and over and over again, killing the same stupid green-looking ghouls that are, so stupid. They're not in, any other Castlevania game. They're just kind of in this one. All they do is raise their arms up and down. They're like the basic zombie, from, the very beginning of Castlevania 1, the first area, but this ones are solid green in color. No matter what map you're on, there's solid green color in every town. Now, I don't think we have too much longer to go before we actually get to daylight. It has to be coming soon. Kill a few more, And this should be about it. Come on. Can't take that much longer. And there we go. The morning sun has vanquished the horrible night. Thank you very much. Fades out, fades back, it's now daytime, and now the town is bustling with all kinds of excitement, including the random person that we need to talk to. The person that we are going to talk to is this guy right here who wants to trade one of the white crystals for a blue one. And you have to do this again later on to trade the blue one you just got for a red one, but you may wonder, why do you need a crystal necessarily? What this crystal is going to allow us to do, especially the blue crystal, is we have to kneel in front of another lake, and it'll allow us to get underneath the lake and get to the next dungeon. Before heading out of the town, I'm going to head down these stairs, and I'm going to purchase another item that I don't necessarily need to beat the game, but it's definitely going to help me out for my health. I'm buying a few laurels. Now what laurels do is it basically makes you invincible for a few seconds. So the real purpose of doing it is, or using them, is there are several poisonous swamps throughout the game that when you walk in them they slowly deplete your health. And if you use a laurel, you're invincible for a few seconds, and then you can just kind of easily make your way through the swamp without taking too much damage. So pick them up now. Actually, there's the only ones I'll have to buy. Later on in the game, I will be able to get some free ones from one of the random merchants inside of one of the dungeons. Now to get to the next mansion, we're going to have to head over back in the same direction we came from, work our way back a little bit, and then we're going to head down a staircase that's going to lead us to the next mansion, or the Rover Mansion. As we continue on, we're going to go down these stairs right here, but it's going to take us to the next mansion, that Rover Mansion, to get Dracula's Heart. Now this is one of those games where it's crucial to, play it a few times to get used to it, and then try to get your way through it as quick as possible. Now, of course, I'm going to be able to get the best ending this run of the game, but the endings of the game, there actually is multiple endings, 3, which is pretty unusual, especially for a pretty early NES title. This still came out in 1987, which is still relatively early in the NES run, and having 3 different endings, all dependent on how much time it takes you to beat the game. Now, what the time goes is not like how many hours you're playing the game, it goes by how many days have passed in the game itself. When it switches from day to night and then night to day. As I just selected the crystal right there in front of the lake, and you see how it opens up a mysterious path down here that's going to lead us right to the second mansion. I'm going to go ahead and enter here. Now, like I said before, this dungeon, this one actually is a lot easier than the previous dungeon, so it shouldn't be too hard to get through it. But those endings, what they do is, they're slightly different. Like, one of them is like the good ending, or the normal ending, one of them is the bad ending, and then one of them is like the best ending, which is basically the good ending with like a little twist at the end of it, and that's the ending you'll be seeing at the end of my run in this video. And I think it's 7 or less days you have to play the game in order to get the best ending in the game. I think 7 to 14 days is the good ending. Like, it's the ending that makes sense. And, there's nothing like really, if you just got the good ending instead of the best ending, you're still going to be pretty satisfied with overall. And then there's the bad ending, which basically what happens in the bad ending is Simon ends up dying. Like I mentioned earlier about the storyline of the game, how he's cursed and he's slowly dying, and that the only way to break the curse is by killing Dracula. Well, if you take too long to burn Dracula, that the curse has already gone way into effect, and even if you end up beating Dracula, you still end up dying from the curse. So that's why it's kind of like, you're on a certain amount of time limit to try to make sure that Simon survives. Even though, of course, we would all know that he would survive, and that the curse would be lifted, because, of course, there's more Castlevania games, regardless that there isn't any more with Simon as the main character. I don't think there is, at least. I'm sure someone will inform me if I'm wrong about that. I don't think there's any more that involve Simon as the main character, other than Castlevania 4, Super Castlevania, which is a remake of the first Castlevania. As I selected the oak stake here, I'm going to throw it at this orb in order to get the second of Dracula's body parts, the Heart of Dracula. I now possess the Heart of Dracula, which will help us because we have to give this to a boatman or a ferryman who who has a boat on the opposite side of the first town, and if you select the heart and talk to him, he'll let you get to a certain area. If you don't have the heart selected, he takes you to a different area, which we also need to go to. But to get to the third dungeon, we need to have Dracula's Heart. But Super Castlevania was just a remake of the first Castlevania, and they also made Castlevania Chronicle for the PlayStation 1, which was also just a remake of the first Castlevania, and it kind of gave Simon that, like, what I really don't like, that glam rocker, I call it, kind of look to Simon, where he has like the red hair, and he could be like in some kind of random glam rock band, or you could say emo, I guess, maybe, I don't really know. I can see him wearing mascara and other kinds of, you know, whatever. So, but I really don't like that look or whatever for Simon, but that was Castlevania Chronicles. So I'm pretty sure this is the last one where you're actually playing fully as Simon. I think there's been little cameos and stuff that have been done throughout the whole Castlevania series.